And welcome back to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host Noah Love, and today we're going to be talking about my NFL division conference NFL predictions for the season. Basically, I did this playoff predictor, getting prepared for this to show you guys. Mike Brown is the head coach of the Knicks. Don't really feel inclined to talk about that right now. Look, July the 4th is tomorrow, so there will be no video. Unless something crazy happens, there will be no videos probably until next Monday or Tuesday. We're at that point in the off season. We're at that point. NFL's right around the corner though. So is college football. So we'll do that. All right. So let's get into it. My NFL predictions. I'm going to share the screen so y'all can see it. I'm going to share my screen. This is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I have. The number one seed right now I have are the Kansas City Chiefs. The number one seed I have here is the Green Bay Packers. 2, Buffalo wins the AFC East. Again, Buffalo got better. I think they got better in secondary. Them signing Joey Bosa is big. Also, the Maxwell Hairston thing, I don't know what's going on with that. That I also think, look, Miami will be decent again, but they'll probably miss. New England, I think, got better, but I don't think they're there yet. I think next year's the year, though, they probably get to being a playoff team. And then the Jets, I just think, are going to be bad. They're in a rebuild. And with a new coach, and they're trying to get their system. I think Justin Fields shows some flashes, but 4-13. So I think that's that. In terms of the North, in the number 3 seed, Baltimore Ravens, they win it. Again, I just feel like Baltimore. Obviously, Kyle Hamilton is really great at the safety position. Lamar, Henry, I do think they got a lot better. That you add Jair Alexander to that secondary and their defense. But I think Baltimore, the reason they're the 3 seed again, I think they lose a game or two that they're not supposed to lose. They do it every year, and that's what hurts them. So I think that again happens, but I do think they are the 3 seed. I got Pittsburgh at 10-7. I think they're a playoff team. I think they got better. I think the addition of Ramsey and his versatility. You have now a 2 tight end set with Pat Freiermuth and Johnny Smith. I do like you got a real number one in DK Metcalf, true number one, who you know. That I think Aaron Rodgers will still have some good football left in him. And I think the Steelers are a playoff team. Obviously, these are just predictions. I could end up being wrong about every single one of these teams. I have the Bengals at 9-8. The reason I have them at 9-8 is because of their defense. I don't trust them. I have to see it. If their defense gets better, then obviously they'll be better. I think the Bengals. What happens if Burrow gets off to a slow start again? I just don't think you can do that in the AFC, and their schedule is tough as well. The Browns. Don't think they'll be 1-16 is kind of rough. I know. I just think they're going to be bad. I just think you don't know what that. You don't even know who their starting quarterback is. Now they probably won't be 1-16 bad. They'll probably win 3 games. So again, you just don't know what the quarterback position, and that's the major gripe. Defensively, I think they're okay, but their offense is just going to struggle a lot this year. I think, and that's what's going to really, really, really set them back and really prevent them from winning games. In terms of the South. I have the Texans winning the division. Them being the 4 seed. I know Tank Dell's going to be out for some time. I know they lost Stephon Diggs, but they got Christian Kirk um, now to be that number 2 until Adele gets back. Nico Collins being the number 1, I think he's good. I think their O line is going to be better. I think CJ Stroud rises above that sophomore slump he had last year and plays better. I think their defense as well is better. And I also think Joe Mixon has a similar season to what he did last last season. And I think that's what puts him as a playoff team. I have the Colts at 10-7. I have them as a playoff team. Reason I have the Colts as a playoff team, I think Daniel Jones is going to be the starter pretty much all year. I think Daniel Jones has sort of not exactly like a Sam Darnold season, but a little bit close to it. I think the addition for them of Tyler Warren on offense, I think that's going to make a big difference on defense. I think Cam Bynum and Charvarius Ward are going to be great additions to the secondary. I also think on the D line, JT Tutumolo, our run stopper. I think the Colts had a very good off season, a very productive off season. They added 3 starters, 1 in the draft, 2 in free agency, and I think obviously Daniel Jones. I just think the Colts are going to find a way to sneak in when a lot of people don't expect them to. I have the Jags at 7-10. I have them improving. I think Travis Hunter has probably a AFC Rookie of the Year campaign. Plays a little bit both sides. Think he shows out, but I think Trevor Lawrence plays decent. But I just think their overall team they struggle a little bit. I think with their schedule, I just think they're not a playoff team yet. Next year, maybe. This year, I don't think so. Tight ends there. Look, Cam Ward shows some promise, shows some flashes, but they're still a long ways away. Their defense still isn't great. Um, Cam Ward will help their offense. Uh, they still don't really maybe Ridley can step into that number 1 role, but is he a true number 1? I don't think so. So I think they struggle a little bit this year again. In the West, I have to I have the Chiefs, and they're the overall number 1 seed. In the AFC, Mahomes, that's best I can tell you. Mahomes, as long as Mahomes, Reed, and Kelsey are there, they'll be all right. I think the O line, they're going to have to iron that out. Don't love that they lost Joe Tooney, but I think they will be able to. I think their defense is really good. I also think they're going to come back a little bit more hungry. I think this is going to be the toughest. This may be the toughest division in the AFC, top to bottom. Um, I also have the Broncos at 10-7. The Broncos are a playoff team. I think again. I think Bo Nix has a little bit of a sophomore slump, but I think they're good enough to overcome that, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's secondary. I mean, you add Jahad Barron to a secondary with Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain II. Man, the Broncos are going to be a tough out this year. I have the Chargers at 9-8 missing. I just think I love Harbaugh. I love Herbert. Didn't love their off season. Think they should have done more, especially on the offensive side, mainly the receiver side. But I just think their schedule is a little bit tougher too, and that's what ends up having them missing the playoffs. The Raiders at 7-10, I think they get much better, but again, their division is tough. Look, I love Geno, I love Pete Carroll, love Brock Bowers, love Genty. Think they're going to be good. Think they're going to be solid in a couple years moving forward. But for right now, I think 7-10. That's the best they can do. maybe 8 and 9, but I don't see them being a playoff team. Again, the West is loaded. Hall of Fame coaches, great players. Look, it's loaded. The West is loaded, so I think it's going to be tough. So you see, Chiefs are the number one. In the 2-7 game, I have the Bills and the Colts. In the 3-6, I have the Ravens and the Broncos. In the 4-5, I have the Texans and the Steelers. For the NFC, let's just show it here. In the East, I have the Eagles winning it 13-4. The Eagles lost some depth, but I think they'll be able to overcome that. It was some depth on the D line. I think their offensive line, I think they're gonna have to retool. They're kind of retooling that a little bit, but I think they will. They may not be as dominant, but I still think they'll be great. Barkley, I don't know if he's going to be in for another historic season, but I think he'll be great. Still, I think their defense is it's going to pick up where they left off. In terms of that, I think they're stacked defensively, and I think in the East, their only real contender is Washington, and I don't think Washington's good enough to take that division from them. I still think Jalen Hurts, he's gonna be on that top 8 quarterback, at least to play like a top 8 quarterback, maybe top 5, and I think that would gets them. Speaking of Washington, they go 11-6. No, they don't really go up in wins. Look, Washington is Washington. They added Debo as a number 2. Um, we'll see how that turns out. But I just think Jaden Daniels has a really good year. Does he have a sophomore slump? It's easy to say yes. But I just think he will still help carry them to the playoffs. I really do believe that. At third, I have the Cowboys. It's their schedule. That's the reason the record's so bad. It's their schedule. Their schedule is rough. And so when I'm looking at that from that standpoint, they have a gauntlet to end their season. I don't think they'll be that good. The Giants, they won't be 1-16, but they'll win 3 or 4 games, but they'll be exciting with some young. They'll be more exciting with young players like uh, Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors. They'll be exciting. They'll have some exciting moments, but they won't be 1-16. Um, in terms of the NFC North, the Packers 13-4. The number 1 seed. I don't think the Lions win it for a third straight year. I think a healthy Jordan Love, like that they went out and got Matthew Golden. Think they're gonna be still good on defense. I think Jordan Love proves that he's an elite quarterback this year, and I really do love the Packers to win this division over the Lions. Speaking of the Lions, they're 12-5. They're still a really good team. I think they regress a little bit because of the loss of the 2 coordinators. I think when you lose 2 coordinators, that's a big freaking deal. That's a big deal, and why they will struggle a little bit in some games. Now they'll still be very good, a playoff team, a Super Bowl contender, but they do take a little bit of a step back. The Vikings at 9-8 and the Bears at 8-9. You switch that. If you want to. It doesn't really matter to me. I think the Bears, they'll improve. Are they a playoff team? I don't know. It's going to be really tough. Also, they're in a tough division and they have a tough schedule, so I don't know. I think Caleb Williams really plays well. Ben Johnson in year 1 could have some trials and tribulations, but I think it will only be 2 NFC North teams in the playoffs. That may be a hot take, but I think it will only be 2. I think it. I think a certain team from the South will get that seventh spot. Atlanta. Um, yeah. So okay, to the South, I have the Bucks winning it. Bucks, that receiving core, that receiving core, man, that's going to be tough. When you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and it was one more, the guy Emeka Buka from Ohio State. Man, that offense is going to be so tough, especially when you've got a back like Bucky Irving back there with Rashad White as well. That's going to be really tough. I think their defense is kind of aging. That's one of my main concerns in Todd Bowles a little bit, but I like the Bucks to win the division. I think it's the weakest division in football, personally. Um, Atlanta, I'm high on them, man. I think when you get the two edge rushers in the draft, and that was one of their main issues last year. I think Michael Penix steps up in year two for him. I think he plays well with Pitts and Drake London, and they still have Bijan back there. I really like them to sneak in and make the playoffs. I think I'm really high on them. They have a lot of upside. I'm more higher on Atlanta than most this season, this upcoming season. I really am. The Panthers finished 4-13. Maybe I could have gave them a couple more wins, but their schedule, man, their schedule is kind of tough. Also, with Carolina, McMillan will be great. I think Bryce Young will still be good, but I just think that defense, if they don't improve, it's going to cost them some games. But maybe Dave Canales has found something with Bryce. I don't know. Maybe they win. Maybe they go 6-11, but I still think they finish third. New Orleans is gonna suck. There's not a lot of positives. Uh, Roster's not great. Your quarterback position is not good. You saw what happened when Rattler was starting last year, but Shook may start 25 years old, coming off an ACL. Hey man, I don't know. Their defense is getting older. Their main problem is they're negative in the cap and they're aging. So New Orleans is in a bad spot. For the West, I have the Rams winning it pretty easily. Going 12-5 and winning it. I think the Rams. Stafford still has another good year of football left. I think you add Devontae Adams. I think he gets rejuvenated. Um, as a number two. I think Puka Nacua really he's going to step up into that number one role, kind of like he did at the end of last year. Uh, I think they have one of the best young front sevens in football. And so when you take all that into account, I think they're a potential Super Bowl contender. And I think the Rams win the division. I've got the Seahawks at 9-8. They're just gonna be mid, frankly, because I don't think they got better this off season. I think the O line still won't be that great. I think Sam Darnold may struggle some this year. I think losing DK and Tyler Lockett's a big deal. I think their defense may be decent, but Seattle, I think it's gonna be rough. Arizona, it's just simple. They're 9-8 for the simple fact that I just don't trust Kyler in some big games. That's kind of what it comes down to. I just don't trust Kyler in big games. That's kind of why they're 9-8 and missing the playoffs. Also, the NFC's tough, but I believe that last playoff spot will come down to them. I think it comes down to Arizona, Atlanta, probably Seattle and Chicago and Minnesota. I think there's 5 teams for one spot, and I think Atlanta gets that one spot. So yeah, I think Atlanta gets that one spot. San Francisco, they lost a lot. They lost a lot. They signed Brock Purdy to some big money that financially, I don't know if I would have paid him that. We'll see if they could carry, but I just don't think they got better this offseason. I don't think they're better than Arizona, and I don't think they're better than Seattle, and they're definitely not better than the Rams. That's kind of just my take on it. You lost a lot of players. When you lose a player like Drake Greenlaw, that's huge. Um, I don't love their team, man. You lose Debo as well. I just don't love your team. I don't love it for San Francisco. In terms of the conference, this is what it looks like. Bengals barely miss. Chargers barely miss. Miami barely misses. Minnesota barely misses. Seattle barely misses. Arizona, Chicago, they barely miss. And I guess this is sort of what that NFC is stacked in 13-4, 13-4. I have the Packers being the Eagles, so that's kind of the tiebreaker there. On that, I believe it's a Monday night game, so that's kind of the yeah. And then 12-5, 12-5. They obviously don't win a division, so they're the top wildcard team in 11-6. Then Houston, they 12-5, really good. Baltimore 12-5. Have Baltimore beating Houston this year, so that's a tiebreaker. Buffalo 13-4, Chiefs 14-3. Then there's a three-way tie for 10-7. I don't know how that will work out, but I do have Pittsburgh and Denver beating Indy this year. I do have that in terms of my predictions. If I'm to guess my Super Bowl predictions from here, I can't bet against Kansas City. I can't bet against Kansas City. So I'll go Kansas City in the AFC. And then in the NFC, I probably go. I love the Rams. I guess I kind of go Rams. Man, I think I kind of go Rams. Uh, man, that NFC is going to be tough because there's like 5 or 6 teams that I believe can get to a Super Bowl there. So that's my NFL predictions for this year. Um, please, this has been the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, please stay safe out there for July the 4th weekend. Don't do anything stupid. And until next time, peace.